You asked me for an answer. You cried out in the middle of the night. You begged on your knees. You whispered my name when no one else was listening. You asked me where I was. You asked me why the silence. You asked me if I had forgotten you. And I am here. I have always been here. But today, right now, I need you to hear this. I need you to feel this deep in your soul. Because the answer you've been searching for, the one you thought would never come, the one that made you question everything you believed, it's standing right in front of you. And maybe you didn't recognize it. Maybe you were looking for something else. Maybe you expected it to arrive differently. But I am here. Let me tell you something that will change the way you see everything that's happened to you. Every tear you cried, every night you couldn't sleep, every moment you felt completely alone, every time you thought I had abandoned you. I was there. Closer than your own breath. Closer than your own heartbeat. I never left. Not even for a second. You see, when you ask me for an answer, you're often asking from a place of pain. You're asking because something broke inside you. You're asking because life didn't go the way you planned. You're asking because someone you loved walked away. You're asking because your body hurts and the doctors don't have solutions. You're asking because you feel forgotten by the world, invisible, like nothing you do matters anymore. And in that pain, in that desperation, you want me to fix it all. Right now. Immediately. You want me to remove the suffering, to change the situation, to make everything go back to the way it was before. You want the answer to look exactly like what you had in mind. But here's what I need you to understand. My answers don't always look like what you expect. My presence doesn't always feel like what you imagined. My love doesn't always work the way you think it should. When you asked me for an answer, you might have been asking for that person to come back. But I gave you peace instead. When you asked me to heal your body, I gave you strength to endure. When you asked me to change your circumstances, I changed your heart instead. When you asked me to remove the loneliness, I taught you how to find me in the silence. You asked for an answer. And I gave you myself. That's the truth so many people miss. They're waiting for a miracle that looks like a Hollywood movie. They're waiting for the clouds to open up and a voice to thunder from heaven. They're waiting for everything to suddenly make sense, for all the pain to disappear overnight, for life to become easy and comfortable again. But that's not how I work. That's not how faith grows. That's not how you become who you were meant to be. I answer you in the quiet moments. I answer you in the strength you didn't know you had. I answer you in the sunrise you almost didn't notice. I answer you in the kind word from a stranger. I answer you in the memory that makes you smile through tears. I answer you in the ability to get out of bed one more day, even when everything inside you wants to give up. I answer you by being present, by walking with you, by carrying you when you can't take another step. You asked me for an answer, and I've been answering you all along. But you've been looking in the wrong direction. Let me take you back to some of those moments. Do you remember that night when you thought you couldn't go on? When the weight of everything was crushing you? When you felt like your heart was going to stop from the pain? You cried out to me. You begged me to help you. And you woke up the next morning. You opened your eyes. You took a breath. You continued. That was me. Do you remember when you lost someone you loved and you thought the grief would destroy you? When you didn't know how you'd survive without them? When every room felt empty and every day felt meaningless? You asked me to take away the pain. And slowly, day by day, you found moments where you could breathe again. Where you could remember them with love instead of only agony. Where you could feel gratitude for the time you had instead of only loss for what's gone. That was me. Do you remember when you faced that impossible situation? When there was no way out? When every door seemed closed and every option seemed hopeless? You prayed for a miracle. You asked me to intervene. And somehow, in ways you still don't fully understand, you made it through. Maybe not the way you wanted. Maybe not with the outcome you hoped for. But you're still here. You survived. You're still standing. That was me. I have been answering you in 1,000 different ways. But you were waiting for one specific answer. You were listening for one specific voice. You were looking for one specific sign. And because it didn't come the way you expected, you thought I wasn't listening. You thought I didn't care. You thought I had forgotten your name. But I know your name. I knew it before you were born. I know every hair on your head. I know every scar on your heart. I know every secret fear you've never told anyone. I know every dream you've buried because it hurt too much to keep hoping. I know every single thing about you. And I am here. Here's what breaks my heart. You've been so focused on what you don't have that you've missed what I've given you. You've been so consumed by what's wrong that you've overlooked what's right. You've been so desperate for the answer you wanted that you've ignored the answer I provided. You wanted me to bring that person back. But I gave you the wisdom to see they weren't meant to stay. You wanted me to give you more time. But I gave you the grace to accept what is. You wanted me to make you young again. But I gave you the beauty of a life fully lived. You wanted me to erase your mistakes. But I gave you forgiveness and a chance to begin again. My answers are always perfect. Even when they don't feel like it. Even when they hurt. Even when they require you to let go of something you desperately wanted to hold on to. Because I see what you cannot see. I know what you do not know. I understand where this road is leading, and you're only looking at the step right in front of you. You're standing in the middle of your story, and you can't see the ending yet. You're reading one page, and you think that's the whole book. You're experiencing one season, and you think it's going to last forever. But I see the whole thing. From beginning to end. And everything that's happening to you right now is part of something bigger than you can imagine. That betrayal that broke your heart? It's removing someone who would have destroyed you. That door that closed in your face? It's redirecting you towards something better. That loss that's drowning you in grief? It's teaching you what truly matters. That illness that's weakening your body? It's strengthening your spirit. You asked me for an answer. And I'm answering you by transforming you. By refining you. By preparing you for what's coming next. I know you're tired. I know you've been waiting a long time. I know you've prayed the same prayer so many times you've lost count. I know you've wondered if I'm even real, if I'm even listening, if I even care. And I'm telling you today, with every ounce of love that created the universe, I am here. I have always been here. I will always be here. Your answer isn't coming tomorrow. Your answer isn't waiting in the future. Your answer is right now, in this very moment. Your answer is me. My presence. My love. My faithfulness. My promise that I will never, ever leave you. You don't need what you think you need. You don't need that situation to change. You don't need that person to apologize. You don't need your circumstances to be different. What you need is to recognize that I am already with you, already working, already answering, already loving you with a love that will never fail. When you finally understand this, when you finally accept this, everything changes. Not your circumstances. You. Your heart. Your perspective. Your peace. You stop demanding that I prove myself to you. You stop testing me. You stop giving me deadlines and ultimatums. You stop trying to control how I work and when I work and through whom I work. You simply trust. You simply rest. You simply know that the same God who hung the stars in the sky, who tells the ocean where to stop, who gives life to every living thing, that same God knows exactly what you need, exactly when you need it, and He will not fail you. If this message is touching your heart right now, if you're feeling something stirring inside you, do me a favor. Subscribe to this channel and leave a like. Not for me, but so that someone else who needs to hear these words can find them. Someone else who's crying out for an answer. Someone else who feels forgotten. Someone else who needs to know that God is real and He is present and He is answering, even when it doesn't feel like it. Let me tell you about the times you couldn't see me. The times you were absolutely certain I had abandoned you. The times you looked up at the sky and screamed, "Where are you?" I was in the friend who called you at just the right moment. I was in the stranger who smiled at you when you needed it most. I was in the song that came on the radio and made you cry because it spoke directly to your soul. I was in the sunrise that reminded you that darkness never lasts forever. I was in the child's laughter that broke through your sadness for just a moment. I was in the unexpected check that arrived when you didn't know how you'd pay your bills. I was in the good report from the doctor when you were preparing for the worst. I was in the deep sleep that finally came after weeks of insomnia. I was in the tears that washed away some of the pain you'd been carrying. I was there. I am here. I will be there. You've been asking me to speak. But I've been speaking all along. You just weren't listening in the right way. You were listening for thunder, and I was whispering. You were looking for fire, and I was in the gentle breeze. You were waiting for the spectacular, and I was in the ordinary moments that you overlooked. That's where I do my best work. In the quiet. In the simple. In the everyday miracles that you take for granted. Your beating heart. That's me answering you. Your next breath. That's me answering you. The fact that you're still here, still trying, still hoping against hope even when hope seems foolish? That's me answering you. I never promised you an easy life. I never promised you that everything would go your way. I never promised you that you wouldn't suffer or struggle or face impossible situations. But I did promise you this: I will be with you. Always. Until the end of time. In the valley. In the fire. In the flood. In the wilderness. In the darkness. In the waiting. In the not knowing. In the questioning. In the doubting. In the struggling. In the failing. In the falling. I will be there. I am there. I am here. And that promise, that presence, that's worth more than any specific answer to any specific prayer. Because circumstances change. Situations shift. People come and go. Bodies age and fail. Minds forget. Strength fades. But I remain. Forever. Unchanging. Unfailing. Unshakable. You asked me for an answer. And the answer is standing right in front of you, right beside you, right inside you. The answer has always been me. My love. My grace. My mercy. My presence. Stop looking for what you think you need and start seeing what I've already given you. Stop demanding that I work on your timeline and start trusting my perfect timing. Stop trying to write your own story and start surrendering to the story I'm writing for you. Because I promise you, my story is better than yours. My plan is greater than yours. My ways are higher than yours. And my love for you is deeper, wider, stronger, and more enduring than anything you could ever imagine. You asked me for an answer. And I am here. That's the answer. That's always been the answer. That will always be the answer. Not a thing. Not an event. Not a miracle. Not a change in circumstances. Me. And once you truly understand that, once you truly accept that, once you truly rest in that, you'll realize that you already have everything you need. You'll realize that you're not waiting for an answer anymore. You'll realize that the answer has been with you all along. I am here. I have always been here. And I will never leave you. That's my answer to every prayer you've ever prayed, every tear you've ever cried, every question you've ever asked. I am here. And I am enough. Now let me tell you why my timing is so different from yours. Why it feels like I'm late when I'm actually right on time. Why it seems like I'm silent when I'm actually speaking in ways you haven't learned to hear yet. You measure time in hours and days. I measure time in purpose and growth. You count minutes. I count transformations. You want things to happen fast. I want things to happen right. When you pray and nothing seems to change, you think I'm not working. But what you don't see is what's happening beneath the surface. What you don't see is how I'm rearranging circumstances. How I'm preparing people. How I'm shifting situations. How I'm working in the invisible realm where the most important things happen. A farmer plants a seed and walks away. 4 days, for weeks, nothing appears above the ground. To someone who doesn't understand farming, it looks like nothing is happening. It looks like the seed died. It looks like the planting was a waste of time. But beneath that soil, everything is happening. Roots are growing. Life is forming. Strength is building. And when the time is exactly right, when everything beneath the surface is ready, that plant breaks through the ground and begins to grow. That's how I work in your life. You planted a prayer. You sowed it with tears. You watered it with faith. And now you're staring at the dirt wondering why nothing is happening. But I'm telling you, everything is happening. Beneath what you can see. In places you can't measure. In ways you don't understand yet. Your answer is growing. It's coming. It's being prepared with perfect precision. And when it breaks through, when you finally see what I've been doing, you're going to fall to your knees in wonder. You're going to weep with gratitude. You're going to understand why the wait was necessary. Because what I'm bringing you isn't just an answer. It's the right answer. The complete answer. The perfect answer. The answer that will fit exactly into the place where your need is. If I had given you what you asked for when you first asked for it, it would have been wrong. Your heart wasn't ready. Your character wasn't developed. Your faith wasn't strong enough. Your understanding wasn't deep enough. The other people involved weren't in position yet. The circumstances weren't aligned. But I knew. I knew exactly when. I knew exactly how. I knew exactly what needed to happen first. So I made you wait. Not to torture you. Not to test you. Not to see if you'd give up. But to prepare you. To ready you. To develop in you what you needed to carry what I was going to give you. You've been crying out, "Why is this taking so long?" And I've been saying, because I love you too much to give you something you're not ready for. Because I care about you too deeply to hand you an answer that would harm you. Because I see what's coming, and you need to be stronger for it. Every day you waited, you grew. Every night you cried, you learned. Every moment you felt alone, you discovered that you're never alone. Every time you wanted to quit, you found courage you didn't know you had. Every season of silence taught you to listen better. Every period of darkness taught you to trust more. The waiting wasn't wasted. The delay wasn't denial. The silence wasn't abandonment. It was preparation. It was development. It was love working in ways you couldn't recognize. Let me ask you something. Think about the times in your past when I did answer quickly. When I gave you what you wanted right away. How did that work out? Did you appreciate it? Did you treasure it? Did you recognize my hand in it? Or did you take it for granted, move on to the next request, and forget to say thank you? The things that come easy are forgotten quickly. The things that come fast are valued less. The things that require no wait teach you no patience. The things that cost you nothing change you not at all. But the things you wait for? The things you pray for year after year? The things that break you and remake you in the process of waiting? Those things transform you. Those things become part of your story. Those things teach you who I really am. You wanted an answer. I wanted to give you wisdom. You wanted a solution. I wanted to give you character. You wanted comfort. I wanted to give you strength. You wanted the easy road. I wanted to give you the meaningful journey. And so I answered you differently than you expected. I answered you better than you asked. I answered you with something that will last longer than what you wanted. You see, most of your prayers are so small. Not because you're wrong to pray them, but because you can't see how big my plans are. You're asking for a cup of water, and I'm planning to give you an ocean. You're asking for $1, and I'm preparing to give you a fortune. You're asking for a moment of peace, and I'm working to give you a lifetime of joy. But you can't see it yet. You're still in the waiting. You're still in the wondering. You're still in the why, and the when, and the how much longer. And I'm asking you to trust me. Just a little longer. Just a little deeper. Just a little more completely. Trust that I know what I'm doing. Trust that I haven't forgotten you. Trust that every single thing that's happened, even the painful things, even the confusing things, even the things that felt like punishment, they were all part of the answer you asked for. Because sometimes the answer to your prayer is stripping away what's hurting you. Sometimes the answer is removing who's holding you back. Sometimes the answer is closing doors you kept trying to force open. Sometimes the answer is breaking your heart so I can heal it properly. Sometimes the answer is letting you fall so you learn that I'll always catch you. You wanted me to fix your circumstances. I wanted to fix your heart. You wanted me to change other people. I wanted to change you. You wanted me to make your life easier. I wanted to make your faith stronger. And now here you are. Stronger than you were. Wiser than you were. Deeper than you were. More compassionate than you were. More patient than you were. More grateful than you were. More aware of what really matters than you were. You didn't get the answer you wanted, but you became the person you needed to be. And that person, the one you are now, the one who's been through the fire and came out refined, that person is ready for what's next. That person can handle what I'm about to do. That person won't waste what I'm about to give. The old you would have missed it. The old you would have taken it for granted. The old you would have used it selfishly. The old you wasn't ready. But this you, this version of you that's been broken and healed, that's been empty and filled, that's been lost and found, that's been down and lifted up, this you is ready. So yes, I made you wait. And yes, it hurt. And yes, there were times you didn't think you'd survive. But you did survive. You're still here. You're still breathing. You're still believing, even if it's just barely. You're still hoping, even if it's just a tiny flame. And that's enough. That little bit of faith. I can work with that. That small amount of hope. I can multiply that. That weak trust. I can strengthen that. You don't need great faith. You just need real faith. You don't need perfect trust. You just need honest trust. You don't need to understand everything. You just need to believe that I understand everything. If these words are reaching deep into your soul, if you're feeling seen and understood right now, please take a moment to like this video and share it with someone who needs to hear it. There's somebody in your life right now who's crying out for an answer just like you were. Somebody who feels forgotten. Somebody who's about to give up. Send this to them. Let them know they're not alone. Let them know I am here for them too. Let me tell you about the people in the Bible who waited for their answers. Abraham waited 25 years for the son I promised him. 25 years. Can you imagine? Month after month, year after year, watching his body age, watching his wife age, watching the promise seem more impossible with each passing season. But the wait taught him faith. And when that son finally came, Abraham knew beyond any doubt that it was me. He knew that only I could do the impossible. Joseph waited 13 years in slavery and prison before I elevated him to second in command of Egypt. 13 years of suffering for a crime he didn't commit. 13 years of wondering if the dreams I gave him were real or just foolish fantasies. But the wait prepared him. It matured him. It taught him everything he needed to know to lead a nation and save his family. Moses waited 40 years in the desert before I called him to deliver Israel. 40 years of obscurity after being a prince. 40 years of herding sheep after being educated in the palace. But the wait humbled him. It broke his pride. It made him the meek man who could hear my voice and follow my lead. David waited years between being anointed king and actually becoming king. Years of running from Saul. Years of hiding in caves. Years of wondering if the prophet's words were true. But the wait trained him for battle. It taught him dependence on me. It prepared him to be a king after my own heart. The pattern is always the same. I promise. You wait. It seems impossible. You doubt. You struggle. You wonder if you heard me wrong. And then, at exactly the right moment, I fulfill what I said. And the wait makes sense. The delay becomes clear. The timing proves perfect. That's where you are right now. You're between the promise and the fulfillment. You're in the gap between the prayer and the answer. You're standing in that uncomfortable, painful, confusing space where nothing makes sense and everything feels wrong. But this is holy ground. This is where faith is born. This is where character is forged. This is where you learn who I really am, not just who you thought I was. The God you imagined would have answered by now. The God you created in your mind would have fixed everything quickly. The God you wanted would have removed all suffering and made your life comfortable. But I'm not the God you imagined. I'm better. I'm wiser. I'm more loving. I'm more strategic. I'm more powerful. And I'm not just trying to make you happy. I'm trying to make you whole. I'm not just trying to fix your circumstances. I'm trying to transform your character. I'm not just trying to give you what you want. I'm trying to give you what you need. There's a difference. A huge difference. What you want is comfort. What you need is strength. What you want is ease. What you need is endurance. What you want is immediate relief. What you need is lasting transformation. What you want is for me to change everything around you. What you need is for me to change everything in you. And so I answer the deeper need, not the surface want. I respond to who you're becoming, not just what you're feeling right now. I work toward your future, not just your present. That's why my answers often look nothing like what you expected. That's why my timing feels wrong. That's why my methods seem strange. Because I'm playing a longer game. I'm writing a bigger story. I'm building a stronger foundation. I'm preparing you for things you can't even imagine yet. You're focused on this one problem, this one situation, this one prayer. And I'm working on your entire life, your complete story, your eternal destiny. You're looking at today. I'm looking at eternity. And from where I stand, from what I can see, everything is going exactly according to plan. Every delay has a purpose. Every detour has a destination. Every closed door is protecting you from something harmful and directing you toward something helpful. Nothing is random. Nothing is wasted. Nothing is meaningless. Even this moment right now, as you're listening to these words, feeling everything you're feeling, thinking everything you're thinking, this is part of the answer too. This is me speaking to you. This is me reminding you. This is me reassuring you. I haven't forgotten your name. I haven't ignored your tears. I haven't turned my back on your prayers. I am here. I have been here. I will be here. And the answer you've been waiting for? It's closer than you think. It's nearer than it's ever been. It's right on the edge of breaking through into your reality. But even if it takes longer, even if you have to wait more, even if the answer looks different than you hoped, I need you to know this one truth that changes everything. I am the answer. Not just the giver of answers. Not just the one who responds to prayers. But the actual answer to every question you've ever asked, every need you've ever had, every longing in your heart. When you have me, you have everything. When you know me, you lack nothing. When you trust me, you're never disappointed, even when circumstances disappoint you. Because I'm not just working in your life. I'm inviting you into mine. I'm not just fixing your problems. I'm offering you relationship. I'm not just answering your prayers. I'm revealing myself to you. And once you truly encounter me, once you truly experience my presence, once you truly understand my love, you stop caring so much about the specific answers. You stop demanding that things go your way. You stop measuring my goodness by your circumstances. You simply rest in knowing that I am good, no matter what. That I am faithful, no matter what. that I am love, no matter what. That's the answer I've been trying to give you all along. Not a thing. Not an event. Not a changed circumstance. But myself. Fully. Completely. Forever. So now we come to the hardest part. The part where I ask you to do something that goes against everything your human nature wants to do. The part where I ask you to surrender. To let go. To stop fighting. To stop demanding. To stop trying to control how and when and through whom I work. I'm asking you to trust me even when it makes no sense. Even when your heart is breaking. Even when your body is failing. Even when your loved ones are gone. Even when your bank account is empty. Even when your future looks dark. Even when everyone around you thinks you're foolish for still believing. I'm asking you to say, from the deepest place in your soul, I don't understand, but I trust you. I can't see the way, but I know you're leading me. I don't feel you right now, but I believe you're here. I'm scared, but I'm choosing faith over fear. I'm tired, but I'm not giving up. I'm broken, but I'm not destroyed. That's the prayer that moves my heart. Not the demanding prayers. Not the bargaining prayers. Not the prayers where you tell me what to do and when to do it. But the surrendered prayers. The humble prayers. The prayers that say, your will, not mine. Your way, not mine. Your timing, not mine. Because that's when real peace comes. Not when you get what you want, but when you want what I want. Not when circumstances change, but when your heart changes. Not when life becomes easy, but when you become content in the difficulty. You've been fighting against your situation for so long. Fighting against the waiting. Fighting against the not knowing. Fighting against the disappointment. Fighting against the pain. And the fighting is exhausting you. It's draining every bit of strength you have left. But what if you stopped fighting? What if you laid down your weapons? What if you opened your hands and released everything you've been gripping so tightly? What if you said, God, I give up trying to figure this out. I give up trying to make it happen. I give up trying to force doors open. I surrender. All of it. To you. That's not giving up. That's growing up. That's not weakness. That's wisdom. That's not losing faith. That's finding real faith. Real faith isn't about getting God to do what you want. Real faith is about trusting God to do what He knows is best. Real faith doesn't demand signs and proof and immediate answers. Real faith rests in the character of God, knowing that He is good even when life isn't, that He is faithful even when people aren't, that He is love even when you feel unloved. Let me tell you what happens when you truly surrender. When you stop fighting and start trusting. When you release control and accept my sovereignty over your life. First, you find peace. Real peace. Not the temporary happiness that depends on circumstances, but the deep, unshakable peace that comes from knowing that the God of the universe holds you in His hands. The peace that doesn't make sense to anyone watching your life from the outside. The peace that remains steady even when everything around you is falling apart. Second, you find freedom. Freedom from the burden of trying to control everything. Freedom from the pressure of making everything work out. Freedom from the fear of what might happen if things don't go your way. Freedom from the exhaustion of carrying weight you were never meant to carry. Third, you find clarity. When you stop obsessing over the one thing you want, you start seeing all the things I'm already doing. When you stop staring at the closed door, you notice the window I opened. When you stop mourning what you lost, you start appreciating what you still have. When you stop looking backward, you start seeing forward. Fourth, you find me. Really find me. Not the idea of me. Not the version of me you created to fit your needs. But the real me. The God who is bigger than your understanding. The God who is wiser than your plans. The God who loves you more than you can comprehend. And when you find me, when you truly encounter my presence, everything else becomes secondary. The things that seemed so urgent become less important. The answers you were demanding become less necessary. The timeline you were imposing becomes irrelevant. Because you realize that having me is better than having anything else. Knowing me is better than knowing how everything will turn out. Walking with me is better than walking in certainty about your future. You asked me for an answer. And I gave you myself. And that's always been the greatest answer I could give. Think about it. What good would it do if I gave you everything you asked for, but you still felt empty inside? What would it profit you if I fixed all your circumstances, but you never knew my presence? What would it matter if I answered every prayer exactly as you prayed it, but you remained distant from me? I could give you health and you could still feel lost. I could give you wealth and you could still feel worthless. I could give you relationships and you could still feel alone. I could give you success and you could still feel unfulfilled. But if you have me, truly have me, if you know me and walk with me and experience my love every single day, then nothing else can shake you. Poverty can't defeat you because I'm your provision. Sickness can't destroy you because I'm your healer. Loneliness can't consume you because I'm your companion. Death itself can't frighten you because I'm your eternal life. That's why I sometimes withhold the smaller gifts. Not to be cruel, but to draw you to the greater gift. Not to deny you, but to give you something better. Not to harm you, but to have you. All of you. Completely. Fully. Without anything competing for your heart. I want to be more than your problem solver. I want to be your Lord. I want to be more than your emergency contact. I want to be your daily conversation. I want to be more than the one you run to when everything falls apart. I want to be the one you walk with when everything is ordinary. And sometimes, often actually, I allow difficulties precisely because that's when you finally pay attention to me. That's when you finally slow down enough to hear my voice. That's when you finally open your heart enough to feel my presence. That's when you finally humble yourself enough to receive my love. You wouldn't have sought me this desperately if life had been easy. You wouldn't have cried out to me this honestly if you hadn't been desperate. You wouldn't have needed me this completely if you could have handled everything on your own. So I allowed the difficulty. Not to hurt you but to help you. Not to break you but to break through to you. Not to abandon you, but to draw you close to me. And now here we are. You and me. In this moment. And I'm asking you, do you see it now? Do you understand? Can you recognize that I've been answering you all along, just not in the way you expected? Every breath you take is my answer. Every sunrise you see is my answer. Every person who's shown you kindness is my answer. Every moment of unexpected peace is my answer. Every bit of strength you found when you thought you had none left is my answer. I've been answering you in a million small ways because I wanted you to see that I'm in everything, not just in the big dramatic moments. I'm in the ordinary. I'm in the quiet. I'm in the details you almost overlooked. I'm in the simple joys you took for granted. I wanted to teach you to look for me everywhere, not just in the spectacular. To hear me in the whisper, not just in the thunder. To trust me in the waiting, not just in the receiving. To love me for who I am, not just for what I give. Because one day, and this is the truth you need to prepare your heart for, one day you're going to stand before me. Face to face. And on that day, none of your earthly problems will matter. None of the things you stressed about will seem important. None of the answers you demanded will be relevant. The only thing that will matter is this. Did you know me? Did you love me? Did you trust me? Did you surrender to me? Did you let me transform you? Did you allow me to use even your pain for your purpose? Everything else fades. Everything else passes. Everything else turns to dust. But your relationship with me, that's eternal. That's what lasts. That's what matters. So I'm asking you today, right now, in this very moment, will you accept my answer? Will you receive my presence as enough? Will you stop demanding that I prove myself and simply rest in knowing that I am who I say I am? Will you trust that every unanswered prayer is actually answered in a better way? That every closed door is actually protection? That every delay is actually preparation? That every no is actually clearing the way for a better yes? Will you believe that I love you? Not in spite of the hard things you've been through, but proven by the fact that I've carried you through them? That I haven't left you? That I never will? I need you to hear this, and I need you to let it sink deep into your soul. You are not forgotten. You are not overlooked. You are not unimportant. You are not unloved. You are not abandoned. You are seen. You are known. You are valuable. You are treasured. You are mine. And I am answering your prayer right now, in this moment, by speaking these words directly to your heart. By reminding you who I am. By reassuring you that I'm still here. By renewing your strength. By restoring your hope. By rebuilding your faith. This is my answer. My presence. My love. My faithfulness. My promise that no matter what comes, no matter how long it takes, no matter how dark it gets, I will be with you. Always. That's worth more than anything else I could give you. That's better than any specific answer to any specific prayer. That's the foundation that will hold when everything else crumbles. That's the truth that will sustain you when nothing else can. So let me ask you one more time, and I want you to really think about it before you answer. You asked me for an answer, and I am here. Is that enough? Am I enough? If you can say yes to that question, if you can truly mean it from the depths of your being, then everything changes. Your circumstances might not change immediately. Your situation might not resolve overnight. Your problems might not disappear tomorrow. But you'll have peace in the chaos. You'll have strength in the weakness. You'll have hope in the darkness. You'll have joy in the sorrow. You'll have faith when nothing makes sense. Because you'll have me. And I am enough. Before we finish, I want to ask you one more time. If this message has touched your heart, if you felt my presence through these words, if something inside you has shifted, please subscribe to this channel and leave a like. Share this video with someone who needs to hear it. Someone who's waiting for an answer. Someone who feels alone. Someone who's about to give up. Let them know that I am here for them too. That they are not forgotten. That their answer is coming, even if it looks different than they expected. Now, I want you to close your eyes for just a moment. Take a deep breath. And feel me with you. Right here. Right now. Closer than your next heartbeat. More present than the air you breathe. I am here. I have always been here. I will always be here. And that's your answer. That's always been your answer. That will always be your answer. Not a thing. Not an event. Not a miracle. Not a changed circumstance. Me. My presence. My love. My faithfulness. My power. My wisdom. My grace. My mercy. My promises. My plans. My purpose for your life. All of it. All of me. For all of you. Forever. You asked for an answer, and I gave you everything. I gave you myself. And I'm asking you now, will you receive it? Will you accept it? Will you rest in it? Will you stop striving and start trusting? Will you stop demanding and start receiving? Will you stop fighting and start surrendering? Because the moment you do, the moment you truly let go and let me be God in your life, that's when you'll realize that you've had the answer all along. You've been standing in the answer. You've been living in the answer. You've been breathing the answer. The answer is not something I give. The answer is something I am. I am here. That's the beginning, the middle, and the end of every prayer you've ever prayed. I am here. I have always been here. I will never leave. Rest in that. Live in that. Find your peace in that. Because it's the only truth that will never fail you. The only promise that will never break. The only foundation that will never crumble. The only love that will never end. You asked me for an answer. And I am here. That's your answer. That's my answer. That's the only answer that matters. Receive it. Believe it. Live it. And watch how everything changes when you finally understand that having me is having everything you need. I am here. Now. Always. Forever. That's the answer. That's the truth. That's the promise. I am here. And I am enough.